and welcome to the Healthy Half Hour podcast. We are your hosts, Richard and Karen Inslee.
The Healthy Half Hour podcast is your resource for all things healthy, and we will be discussing how to make nutrition, fitness and lifestyle choices work for you.
We will be sharing our own personal insights along with research gathered from working in the health and fitness industry for the past 10 years.
Our show is brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, which can be found at 7dayshred.com, and please feel free to visit our podcast website, which can be found at healthyhalfhourpodcast.com.
And now on to today's show.
Hi everybody. I'm just trying to think whether since we recorded last we've actually done anything, but I think we said that now that the weather's going cold.
Still cold.
Still
getting colder.
Still snowing, and well, the sun's trying to come out today. It's actually making a little bit of an effort, but yeah, we haven't really got any exciting socially activities that we've done.
I don't think we do anything exciting, do we?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, actually, all of our friends think that we lead exciting lives because
social media for
you.
you.
I know. Like I said on that last podcast that we did, obviously people's lives look perfect on social media.
Yeah, I've got to go because I've got a meeting with NASA according to all my school friends. So.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I've got to do more brain surgery operations, yeah. Okay, so today's topic is skinny utopia, eh?
It is indeed. I don't know, probably about 5-6 years ago, probably I did an email or when I had a blog on my website, which I probably should rehash again and bring back. I took it off a while ago. But one of my blog posts was, called Skinny Utopia. And kind of the opening line was, are you familiar with when I lose weight, I will statement? And people, a lot of the times when I lose weight, I'll be happier, I'll be more content, my marriage will improve, people will like me more, my job will get better, I'll get a new job even, friends will ask me out to the bar, blah, 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 because,
So if I lose a few more pounds, then our marriage will be happier then?
Hopefully. Well, could it get any happier, sweet child?
No. According to social media, no.
No, exactly. We're at the peak.
Well, yeah.
So again, you get a lot of times and people just really kind of, they're kind of not unhappy now, but they're kind of uncontent because possibly they're thinking, again, lose that £10 or £50 or whatever, and my life will be this. And if you probably lost £100, it probably would make a big difference to your life. Even £50 would probably make a difference. But if you're already unhappy in your work, I doubt losing unless you're kind of a letter carrier, I doubt lose £100 would be a big deal to you, really. It wouldn't make you, if you're like, say, a brain surgeon. I don't know. It's certainly something that you can't bank on, that if I lose the weight, I'll be happier, because there's no guarantees.
Well, no, and you just touched on the concept that if you've been clinically diagnosed as obese or have a medical condition, maybe you're type 2 diabetic, you're on lots of medications, then yes, losing a significant amount of weight might improve your life on some levels. So yes, it will cost you less because you're not spending as much on medications. You don't have the joint pains and the aches of carrying around all that excess weight. But you touched on, people just think their lives on so many other levels are going to improve.
Well, yeah, if your job sucks now, it's going to suck when you're light, you know what I mean? That's if you don't get on with your boss now heavy, you won't get on with your boss any lighter. So, yeah, you kind of got to put it into context, really, and kind of be a little more realistic with kind of your outlook of what's going to happen, and maybe this can help with your weight loss.
And people think that there is this miracle life after, and there isn't actually an after. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's just your life as you will be leading it. And if you've listened to our last podcast on orthorexia, when you think about it, if you have had a significant amount of weight to lose and you've done it by managing quite strictly your nutrition, you could actually end up where technically your life, like, and habits actually get worse, because if you've micromanaged your nutrition because you think there is that pot of gold at the end of the weight loss hill, then you could actually develop things like orthorexia, because you've lost all this weight and now you become obsessed with the fact, oh, I don't want to gain it all back again. And then you develop orthorexia and eating disorders, because then you become obsessed and anxious about regaining it.
And yeah, like I say, it's added pressure too. I mean, added pressure, like Karen just said, or added pressure that my life's going to get way better once I lose this weight. And as we've spoke before on other podcasts, that added pressure is stress. And if you're adding stress to yourself, one of the things that's not going to happen is weight loss, because, again, we're going to bounce back through that cortisol, all those other hormone imbalances. And at the end of the day, you're just going to stop yourself by trying to make yourself go, if that kind of makes sense. You're going to be your own roadblock at the end of the day, because you're just going to put that much stress onto yourself. And last week I met with a client on Tuesday, Suzanne, and we were just talking. I said to her, your like workout pants are looking pretty baggy on you right now. And she just said, yeah, this. And she's, I can't stop. Well, I think stop's the wrong word, but she says, I'm losing weight really easy right now. She says, I've found what works for me and I've found my formula. And she's lost like 25 pounds. And this has took a few years, but she's experimented with different things. And again, took the pressure off herself. And I said, kind of, how much weight have you lost? She says, I don't know. I've not weighed myself. I don't really care. I've noticed it's dropped off, but my sleep's got better and I've kind of not stressing about things now. And she found kind of what eating pattern worked for her, and she just basically got on with it. And yeah, and the overriding thing is, like she says, it's right now it's easy and she's just living and being happy.
And it's good that you said that she's found something that works for her, because as we say, like, quite frequently, whether keto works for you, paleo works for you, Atkins works for you, vegetarianism, like, you have to find a formula that does work for you. And as you said, that added stress, some people going like, oh, I'm going to try keto. Why? Oh, well, somebody I know has lost loads and loads of weight following it. Well, metabolically, metabolically, should I say, is it right for you? Does it fit in with your family life? Does it fit in your work, your social life? So whatever formula works for you. But like you say, obviously with Suzanne, it's taken a while for her to find something that does work. And I actually think her removing some of the stress, she's just, and as we promote, eat a whole foods diet. Don't think it's got to be one specific formula. And if you listen to the podcast that we did a few weeks ago when my brother and his wife were here in Canada with us, they came here for a visit, they relaxed everything, and primarily they are a low carb, well, actually like more carnivore really now, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they relaxed thing. I mean, like, shockingly, they ate bread and high starch vegetables.
And an update on that one, actually, where we saw them on the last evening they were here, and Chris mentioned in the podcast about his back pain, and guess what? He got his back pain back again. He'd been here for 10 days, and they'd kind of been out to, like you say, restaurants and eating foods they wouldn't normally eat, and yeah, his back pain was back, and he stood up out of the chair holding his back, and he says, yeah, I'm going to go home and eat like I normally eat and get rid of this in a couple of weeks.
And it's the gluten that is his problem. It's not the healthy starches, the higher starch veggies. It's the gluten, and like, he knows what it is. He knows what his triggers are. But like I say, he relaxed things, and the thing is, you know the risk. So if you know something is going to irritate your body on whatever level, whether it's joint pain, whether it's a number on the scales, maybe it gives you headaches, whatever. If you understand the risk, but you want to go out and enjoy some of those foods, then you know what to do after the fact and how to get back on track.
Yeah, and I mean, like I say, back to the kind of the skinny utopia thing, and just kind of the theme of what the underlying theme of what we're talking about today is, again, just relaxing it, and again, that intuitive eating, and think of the outcome not as, oh, my life's going to be great, but just think of it as kind of the end of the weight loss journey and the beginning of the weight maintenance journey, or beginning of the eating normally, if you want to call it normally, I hate that word, when you kind of not thinking about that kind of small caloric deficit, but again, you could start to enjoy maybe like some foods that you've missed out on before, because again, weight loss was the goal, and once the goal is achieved, again, that's the end of that journey, but it's not the end of the journey. So,
and I'm glad that you mentioned that about maybe getting to a point where you can enjoy some of the foods that you've given up, because I can't remember whether I listened to this on a podcast or whether I like read it somewhere, but this is a long time ago, and it was an interview with a girl that was quite overweight, and she says like, oh, I was in the food court and I saw this really skinny girl chowing down on a Big Mac and the fries and a soda, and oh my goodness, like, why is it that she's so skinny and she can like eat foods like that? And the article was actually covering the fact that maybe this girl could have been 300-400 pounds, and she's worked super hard to actually get down to a much smaller weight. But once a year, she goes out and actually has this Big Mac, fries and soda. And she used to enjoy that multiple times a week, probably multiple times a day. But she basically just goes out once a year and has this meal, and it's only one meal. So you don't know what people's story is. So when you're looking at somebody, you need to think, okay, well, how often does she this? Eating that Big Mac and those fries could be the worst thing for her, and she does it once a year. So, you kind of like don't know people's story. And one of the things that we're going to put in the show notes is, like you say, people, again, going back to that social media again, like, and people's lives are perfect on social media. And there's a lot of like weight loss Instagram people out there. People follow others because they go like, oh my God, like, look, they've been following this like diet and they've lost all this weight. And the girl is actually J King 2386, and we'll put the reference actually into the show notes. But this girl, you've got to go and have a look at her on Instagram. She's been following a keto diet, and she had a huge amount of weight to lose. You look at her photos now, and oh my goodness, like, she could be a model now, and the transformation has been amazing. But you've got to look at her photos, because what actually happened, she lost all the weight, and she's been very open with her story, and she had a lot of weight to lose. So what happened? A lot of baggy skin. A friend of ours years ago in England said after having kids, she said her boobs look like empty icing bags afterwards.
Thanks, Lizzie. Still not got that one out of mind.
So I hope Elizabeth is listening to this. But this girl, this J King on Instagram, she actually shows photos of what her body looked like after she lost all the weight. And I said that she looks like absolutely stunning now. But she had to undergo very expensive and lengthy surgery and wearing almost full body corsets. So when people think that their life's going to improve as a result of losing all that weight, this girl on Instagram, yes, she feels better in herself. Obviously, she's not carrying around all that excess weight, but her life didn't improve as soon as she lost the weight. She had to undergo quite invasive surgery, and a lot of it, and she had to endure a lot of pain as a result of it. So you have to think of things like that, oh, I'm going to lose all this weight and look fantastic. Well, when this girl, she shows you in her bra and panties, all the skin, the loose skin. And if you look at pictures of her now, she, in just bra and panties, she is still not skinny. But when she's in her clothes, you think oh my goodness, this girl's got the perfect life. But she's undergone a lot of pain.
There's another girl on Instagram too, actually. She's a local Winnipeg girl, and hers is Diary of a Shrinking Mummy.
We'll put that link as well.
I'll put that link in too. And again, same thing. She's put photos of herself with her hanging skin, and as she was and as she is now. And people that do that are kind of very real. And I was actually looking at a post the other day, and it was to do with, again, Instagram and social media, and saying that, if people are showing you like their 300-pound deadlifts or squats, if they're not showing you their failures on social media, then they're not worth following. Because if people aren't showing you the whole story, they're just showing you the icing on the cake, not how they mixed the cake, made the cake, and did everything else, then again, there's a lot of falsedom, if that's a word, to kind of the story. You know what I mean? They're not willing to show that, how they actually got there. So again, just from that point, like Karen was saying, with following people on social media and all my life will be great like theirs is, people should show you. They should show you how things go wrong and what's not right.
And one of the things that I notice with, especially like the keto community, is a lot of people will like be using it to lose weight, which is fine if that's like what formula that you want to use. But then you'll get a lot of before and after pictures, and you'll see the before photos, and they're probably clinically diagnosed as obese, but then like they've got these photos where they're all muscular and buff, and it's like a lot of the stories are promoting the fact that all they have done to get muscular and like chiseled abs is follow a keto diet. No, there's no way you can get definition like that without lifting weights and without exercising. So as you were saying, if they're not showing the whole story, so, it's kind of like that false advertising, I guess, that, be honest and tell people, okay, I use keto, I loved it, and I lifted weights, and I did this and I did that, and this didn't work for me, and I struggle with this. So sharing the whole story is really important.
So at the end of the day, really, like you say, your life will change a little because, again, you've lost some weight. But at the end, if you're pinning all your hopes that it's going to be all unicorns and rainbows, then maybe you should have a little bit of a rethink, and that weight might just come off a little easier when that pressure's off. Hopefully, again, we've given you something to think about.
Food for thought again.
Food for thought, yes, a lot of food for thought. Until next time, we'll see you then.
That's all we have time for right now, but we do hope that you join us for our next show. And if you want to contribute to an upcoming show by suggesting a topic that you would like us to discuss in more detail, then hop over to our website, healthyhalfhourpodcast.com, subscribe to our podcast and submit your suggestions. The Healthy Half Hour Podcast was brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, and don't forget to share our details with your friends and review our show. Until next time, thanks for listening.